Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In our previous lesson, we discussed the plot of the novel, The Joys of Motherhood by Buchi Ememcheta. Today, we are going to be looking at the characters and the roles that each character play in the novel, The Joy of Motherhood by Buchi Ememcheta. We are going to start with the character of Unuego, who is the protagonist of the novel. Unuego starts out as an innocent, somewhat naive girl, filled with hope and anticipation of the joys and rewards motherhood will bring her. Unlike her mother, who is Honor, Unuego is not a radical or antagonistic presence, and she dutifully accepts and fulfills her roles as a woman in Igbo society. Her initial quest is for justification and validation. So when she cannot conceive with her first husband, which is called Amatoku, the marriage is dissolved and she is filled with a lot of apprehension and shame. When her second husband, who is Unaife, decides to marry her, she realizes the happiness denied her, and she was able to conceive in the house of Unaife. So when she conceived, she gave birth to a child called Ngozi. When Unaife married her, Unaife is living in Lagos, not in Buza community, and Unaife is a good worker, a launderer, working with a white family, which is called Mr. Rees. So Unaife married her, and fortunately for Unuego, she conceived and gave birth to a child called Ngozi. And after giving birth to Ngozi, she started a petty trade along the road selling cigarettes, and suddenly Ngozi died. One day, Unuego returned from the street where she was selling something and discovered that Ngozi has died. So though she is distraught over the death of Ngozi, Unuego feels guilty relief when later a daughter arrives. She begins to examine her essential worth as a woman again, because after the death of Ngozi, she conceived again and gave birth to a daughter. Although Unuego becomes a vital economic force in the community, essentially setting up her own business to help her family survive, she is seen as merely an economic unit or a machine for producing and rearing children, especially the male children. So, and that is how the traditional Igbo society look at women in those days when this novel was set. So Unuego was later distraught after the children deserted her. She gave birth to children, twins Kehinde and Taiwo, and after that one again, she gave birth to two boys, Shia and another one, which both of them tried to study outside Nigeria, while one was studying in Canada, the other one was studying in America. And he was distraught. Rather than serving the collective unit of the family, her children pursue their own courses and seek to place their own self-fulfillment and individual destinies before their family responsibilities. So Unuego's hope and joy became disillusioned, and then she died in her community, Ibuza. He even died by the roadside. So another character in the novel is that of Amatoku. Amatoku is Unuego's first husband. When Unuego fails to conceive a child, Amatoku returns her to her father, Agbadi, in exchange for the original bride price. Amatoku doesn't want to waste time with a wife who fails to continue his family line by giving birth to children. So Amatoku and Unego dissolved their marriage. Another character in the novel is Unaife. Unaife is Unego's second husband, and he is the chief male in the novel The Joys of Motherhood. We can say it's the counterpart and mirror reflection of his wife. The two stand on opposite sides of a similar conflict. While Unego must reconcile her own disillusionment with motherhood, Unaife faces his own struggles in the wake of evolving tradition and the slow dissolve of their family structure. Unego calls Unaife's masculinity into question from the early days of their marriage. In fact, when Unego come to Lagos to come and live with Unaife, Unego was missing her former husband, Amatoku, because Unego was always complaining that Unaife is not so manly enough. Unaife is filled with pride at the responsibility he has as the Lodra in Mia's family. He works as a Lodra, and even many people, especially from the Igbo community, will not accept to do such kind of work, being a Lodra for a white woman. So it seems like a feminine job in the traditional Igbo society for a man to do such kind of work. So Unaife is not manly, and that was one of the reasons why even the wife, Unego, sees him as somebody who is not manly enough. We can also say that Unaife is a passive, ineffective figure whose lack of ambition or connection does little to further the livelihood of his family. Unaife allows others to control or intercede for him, all the while believing he is a figure of power, strength, and action, but he is not. So, as traditions and time changes, they render Unaife increasingly ineffective in his role as a male authority figure in his family. He emerges as an emasculated figure and is unmarked as a very poor provider and a drunkard, the equivalent of a deadbeat dad in today's world. And Unaife's unmanliness shown several ways. Even when Unaife returned to the village of Imbuza and impregnated Adanku, who is the first wife of his brother he inherited, Adanku refuses to follow Unaife to Lagos. A woman does not have such authority, but he knows that Unaife is somewhat a man that does not have a kind of manliness and power to control her. So he refuses, and then she exercises her own power. So we could see that in the final act of desperation, Unaife threatened to kill his own daughter and also the father-in-law, because the daughter followed a Yoruba man, and Unaife wanted to deal with the daughter and the father-in-law who was supporting the daughter. And in his skilled vision of the world, individual lives and the happiness of his daughter are secondary to abstract notion of family reputation. To Unaife, he was more concerned about his own reputation and the family's reputation rather than the happiness of his daughter. So he was later imprisoned by the father-in-law of the daughter, and then he spent a significant time in the prison. Another character in the novel is that of Adaku. Adaku, in fact, that name means daughter of wealth in Igbo language. It is an appropriate title for her confidant, for the confident lady called Adaku. Very confident and assertive, Adaku travels to Lagos to assert her right as Unaife's newly acquired wife. Note that Adaku was the youngest wife of Unaife's older brother, and when the brother died at a young age, Unaife must take responsibility for his brother's wife according to custom by inheriting them as his own wives. So, disappointed by what she finds in Lagos, and recognizing that her position as a junior wife will always mean she's a second-class citizen, Adaku ultimately leaves the marriage to become an independent woman. He became a trader and a prostitute. She earns enough from her trading activity that she doesn't need to be dependent on male at all, not even Unaife, and can enjoy their companionship from a place of equality, having friendship with a man, not submitting to any man as a wife. So Adaku has a great deal of foresight, and she reads the future accurately. As a result, she educates her daughters, believing that the time will come when an educated woman will be able to earn money in the same way a man earns. She provides a great contrast to Unuego, who is never able to leave her traditional values behind. So as a result, Unuego struggles with poverty all her life and dies miserably in the village, and even forsaken by the husband and even her own children. But Adaku enjoying her independently gained wealth. Alright? Then another character is Adankwo. Note that Adaku and Adankwo are different. You can see the spelling. Adankwo is the senior wife of Owulu's brother. Adaku is, you can say, is the senior Owulu's first wife, whom Unaife inherits. Even though Unaife has possession of her and all of her children according to Igbo custom, she decides to remain with her family in Ibuza rather than traveling with Unaife to Lagos. And as a result of that, even suggested that Okpo, another young lady of 16 years, should follow Unaife to Lagos instead of her, Adanku, to follow Unaife. Another character in the novel is Adim Mabwa. Popularly called as Adim in the novel, is Unaife and Uniego's second living son. Second living son will be the third child because the first child died. So his name means now I am two in Igbo. So his name is now I am two in Igbo language. The name tells the world that Unaife has two sons. So he moves to Canada after his dad's imprisonment. He has no desire to remain connected with his family back home in Nigeria and Ibuza, to be specific. So he channels his own destiny without taking care of the family. Another character in the novel is Nwokocha Agbadi. Nwokocha Agbadi is a chief and a wealthy man in the novel. He loves proud, arrogant women and falls in love with Honor, an absolutely unattainable woman. Honor can't get married because her father has decreed it. Her father has no male hair, and if Honor produces a son, it will continue the bloodline of Honor's father. So Agbadi, arrogant himself, grows tired of women when they become domesticated as mothers and wives. So he keeps marrying different women, but he always returns to Honor. So when he discovers how much Honor cares for him after a hunting accident, he treats her cruelly. But they are still in love and they conceive Unuego, who becomes the apple of Agbadi's eye. Agbadi wants his daughter to be cherished. Unfortunately, Agbadi isn't good at selecting husband for his daughter. So the first husband becomes cruel when Unuego fails to produce a child. The second husband is an alcoholic and never gives Unuego the support she needs and deserves. Though returning to her father's company is always an option for Unuego, she refuses to do it out of pride and even shame. She knows her father wouldn't want her coming back unless she was being severely abused. Even though he lives many years after Honor dies, Agbadi never forgets her. During the illness leading up to his death, he frequently speaks to her as if she is in the room. You can see the level of love. And when Agbadi dies, his family throw him the most expensive funeral Ibuza has ever seen. Another character in the novel is Okpo. Okpo is Unaife's second wife. We can say second legally wife, because Unaife inherited the wife of his brothers, which is Adankwo, which making it Tiri. But since none of them is living with him towards the end of the novel, he decided to marry Okpo. So Okpo bears him many children and become a formidable rival to the more established Unego in the novel. Another character in the novel is Taiwo and Kehinde. They are twins in the novel, and they were given birth to by Unego. Kehinde is Unego's first daughter. In fact, we can say Kehinde is a troubled child. She leaves home early with a stranger she meets from Yoruba land, a man from Yoruba tribe. So the couple's union is undesirable to her father. Her father does not like it at all. And then her father quickly assaults the husband, Kehinde's husband father. So, and this lands the father Unaife in prison, and it affected the family. Then we have the other one, which is Taiwo, and Taiwo is more reserved, more kind, rather than Kehinde. Is more fun-loving in the novel than Kehinde, and she aspires for a dependable husband and stable home life, both of which she finds with the man he married, Clark Magnus. Then another character in the novel is Oshia. Oshia is Unego's eldest son. He desires to study in America, which thoroughly frustrates his parents, who have saved long and hard to put him through school. But do you know what? When he leaves, he takes with him all of his parents' plan to see him return and help the family with the raising of the younger siblings. He does not want to even return home. He does not care about the father, the mother, and not the siblings. That the father was hoping that Oshia will come home from America with a lot of money, a lot of dollars, and will begin to help them. He does not take care of the children. He does not take care of the mother, Unego, and does not also take care of the father, Unaife. So Oshia was more concerned about his own destiny, his own plan in life. And what happened was that the father and the mother were disappointed, and the father, Unaife, went into drunkenness, began to drink, and the mother was disappointed and was living in her father's home in Ibuza. And the mother died by the roadside. But when the mother's death was communicated to Oshia and his brother, they came back and did a lot of flashy, extravagant burial. You can see the mother that does not even see food to eat. They did a lot of burial that the people of Ubuza were celebrating them and even giving, wishing them to have title, traditional titles, because they spent a lot of money for the people to eat when their mother died. Okay, please remember to subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell so that you get notified when the video on the major themes in the novel are uploaded. Thank you and have a good day.